Okay, let's talk different time signatures now. We can use the same process to help us with different and unfamiliar time signatures. Cut time, for whatever reason, seems to throw a lot of beginner students off. All it means, when you see this C with a line through it, that's 2-2 time, which again means that there are going to be 2 beats in the measure, and a half note is going to get 1 beat. So now that our half note gets 1 beat, I'm going to write 1 and then 2. And that's all I need to do right now for this measure. My foot pattern is going to look just like it did in 4/4 for quarter notes. Down, up, down, up. Now, eighth notes, how many eighth notes fit inside of a half note? Well, 2 do. So just like our eighth notes did in 4/4, we're going to count our first one as big 1, our second one as big and, our next one as big 2, and our last one as big and. The foot pattern then looks like this. Down for 1 because it's a number, up for and because it's an and, down for our number, up for our and. Down, up. Now what I could do is go back to this first measure and add my quarter note subdivisions in now. Big 1, little and, big 2, little and. Eighth notes in cut time are going to be counted just like 16th notes were in 4/4 time. How many eighth notes fit inside a quarter note? 2. So I'm going to start with 1, and then I need the other part of 1 before I get to the and. So now this is going to be big E. Now I'm to my and then I need the other part, big da. Big 2, big E, big and, big da. And the foot pattern is going to look just like it did for 16th notes in 4/4. Halfway down, up and up. Down space, up. Now I could go back and add my 16th, or rather my 8th note subdivisions. For my quarter notes, they're going to be big 1, little e, big and, little da, big 2, little e, big and, little da. I've already got my 1 and 2 and for my half notes, so I can just add my little e, little da, little e, little da. 6/8 time, my favorite time signature. The top 6 means that there are going to be 6 beats in a measure, and the 8 on bottom means that an eighth note gets 1 beat. So I should have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighth notes in each measure. Now, the way we teach this with our kids, we do 2 different sets of counts. We have a slow time counts and a fast time counts. And what determines which set of counts you will use when you're counting and clapping or when you're playing is generally the tempo that you are performing at. So a slower tempo, you would use the slower time, and a faster tempo, you would use the faster time. We'll go through the slow time first. Because each eighth note is now 1 beat, those get our numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A dotted quarter note has 3 eighth notes inside of it, right? Because we can fit 2 eighth notes in this quarter note, and then we add half of that back to the quarter note for a total of 3 eighth notes. So this dotted quarter note starts on count 1, but it also has counts 2 and 3, so they're going to be small. This quarter note starts on count 4, but it also has a little 5 and a little 6 because those counts are contained within that note. Quarter note gets 2 beats in 6/8, so it's going to start count 1, little 2, eighth note by itself, 1 beat, big 3, quarter note starts big 4, has little 5, and then we end with an eighth note by itself, big 6. The last measure, we're just flipping this around. Start with an eighth note, big 1. Then we have our quarter note, a new note. So big count, big 2. It also has little 3 because I need my second count in there, my second beat. Count 4, big 4, then big 5, little 6. I could do foot patterns like this too, because if I'm tapping in time, I get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So I could do down ups for these. We don't worry about that with our kids. We only do the foot patterns for the fast time. We'll see that in just a minute. With fast time, we teach that as a sort of translation from slow time. So I would worry about getting this down first before we start trying to do fast time. To get to fast time from slow time, all of our 1s are going to stay 1. All of our 4s become 2s. Our 2s and 5s become ands. And 3 and 6 become da. So let's apply that to the rest of the line here. Big 1, little 2, little 3. 1 is still 1. Little 2 is going to become little and. Little 3 is going to become little da. Big 4 becomes big 2. Little 5 becomes little and. Little 6 becomes little da. Big 1 stays big 1. Little 2 becomes little and. Big 3 becomes big da. Big 4 becomes big 2. Little 5 becomes little and. Big 6 becomes big da. Big 1 stays big 1. Big 2 becomes big and. Little 3 becomes little da. Big 4 becomes big 2. Big 5 becomes big and little 6 becomes little da. For foot patterns, again, we only concern ourselves with the foot patterns for this fast time at the bottom. Similar to how it's worked before, all of our numbers, our 1s and 2s, are going to be downs. So for this first measure, the first note's a down, and my count 2 is going to be a down. Now my foot is going to be going up on da. So up on da, up on da. But that leaves my ands. I need to do something with my foot on and. We teach it as a press or a hold, which we draw with a horizontal line. So what that looks like with your foot, down, press, up, 1 and da, 2 and da. With the dotted quarter note, all 3 of these beats are connected now. So that means all of my lines are connected. I have 1 and da. Down, press, up. In my next measure, 1 and are going to be connected. So down and press are going to be connected. Down, press. Da is a new note, so up is a new line. 2 and, down, press, connected. Da is new note, so up is a new line. We flip that around for this last measure. 1 is a note, but it's by itself, so just down by itself. And da are together, so I have press up for that measure. 2 is by itself, that's down, and press up. So if this works for you, that's awesome. Hopefully this helped you a little bit in some way, maybe understand something that you didn't before, or give you at the very least a new practice tool to help you improve yourself. Again, if your band director has something else that he or she wants you to do, by all means, please do that. But you know, if you're struggling, if you're maybe on your own a little bit for something, and you know that you struggle with particular rhythms things, try some of this stuff out, and hopefully it helps you.